What's good, y'all? It's your boy BioSpider 3.0, keeping the action going with the Toybiz Mr. Fantastic with snap-on bendy attachments. And this is from the 2005 Fantastic Four movie starring Chris Evans, Ewan Gruffett, I believe is his name. Hopefully, I'm not butchering that again. Michael Chiklis and Jessica Alba. All right. So I grew up on these movies. All right. So this is a very nostalgic figure for me to review. I really did love the first two Fantastic Four movies. To this day, I still love them. I went back and rewatched them after seeing the new one, and I think they still hold up like pretty well. I think even like the CGI and everything in those older movies actually looks really good. In some ways, it looks better than the new stuff, which is ironic. But yeah, you can see I have Mr. Fantastic fully assembled here. Now it took me forever to get him set up like this. It was a pain, absolute pain in the butt, to get him, standing like that. As you can see, he's not able to really stand on his own. He's very floppy, so you know. But yeah, you can see I've got these Mayfix stands, holding him up right now. I've got one down here holding him at the legs, another one up top to hold his, torso and his arm. Because if I was to take those stands away, he would fall immediately. He's just a floppy mess. I counted him. I guess he comes with 9 total extra parts, elastic, stretchy parts for him to, grow in size. Pause. Y'all know what I'm saying. But yeah, and the back of the packaging says that when you fully assemble him like this, he does increase in up to 13 inches, like height wise. So yeah, he goes from about roughly 6 inch figure to about double that, so about 13 inches tall. So yeah, he is fully assembled here, and yeah, it took me, like, I kid you not, maybe 20-30 minutes just to get him balanced like this. Absolute pain in the butt to assemble, but I figured I had to show you guys what he looked like fully assembled before we got into the main review. I'm probably never gonna put him together like this again unless I like really want to get like a a good photo, or something like that, or maybe have him on display temporarily. But I mean, unless he's leaning against something, he's gonna like instantly just fall apart. So it's not even worth it in my eyes. But yeah, you can see I've got all the extra parts on him. So I'm just gonna try to zoom in tight here, a little bit tighter. Let's see. So you can see, I'm just gonna point out like all the extra pieces that attach to him. So he's got 2 long rubbery pieces for the legs right here that attach between the knees and the lower boots. So this is like a long just rubbery piece. There's no articulation, no joints inside of this. You get one of those for each of his legs, and then you get at the top up here, you got 2 more very similar pieces connecting like from his kind of like his upper thigh down to like kind of where the knees are. And so those all separate. You can see the separation in there, the segmented pieces. This right one, I will point out, is very loose. Like even when you plug it into the joint that comes out of his thigh on this side, it really doesn't stay. It kind of like the hole is, I guess, like too big, so there's no friction or anything to really hold it in place. It's just gonna fall right out. Like the ball just kind of goes in there and just sits in there, and like if as soon as you move it, it'll fall right out. So yeah, not great. The left side is a little bit better. It's actually a lot tighter. It's pretty much impossible to get them like completely flush, but with the rest of the figure, like you're gonna see like the gaps to where you connected him. But I mean, there's nothing you can really do about that. And then you have these 4 longer forearm pieces to add to him, and then same thing for like the upper arm right here, from the bicep to the elbows. Those are some extra pieces to add as well. And then he's got the super long neck. He looks like that kid from Instagram. I wonder whatever happened to that kid, that long neck kid. I forgot. I don't know his name, but it was like this white boy that was like really skinny and had like a super long neck. That's basically what this Mr. Fantastic figure looks like right now. I'm trying to back it up just to get him in the frame. He's so doggone tall. I gotta bring the camera back quite a bit just to get him in frame. But yeah, you can see he's got the super long stretchy neck. that you also add, and then of course his head at the top. So yeah, that's what he looks like fully assembled. An absolute mess of a figure, you know, when he's fully assembled. But I'm probably, like I said, never gonna put him together like this again, or at least not for a very long time. I'm just gonna have him in his standard, you know, 6-inch form at most. I might add like the arm attachments, but the legs are just an absolute nightmare to deal with. So yeah, I'm not even gonna fool around with that. But yeah, now that you've seen that, I am going to go ahead and tear him down like right away, because I'm tired of looking at him like this. I want to see him back in his regular form. Oh, and real quick, just to show you guys the packaging once again, zoom out here a bit. Here is the packaging that he came in. So now you can clearly see the Fantastic Four logo in the back there. And then here's a quick look at the back again, in case you didn't see the inbox look, the first look. All right, so here's the back of the packaging, bios at the top. I read all of this in my first look video, so be sure to watch that before you watch this full review. All right, and then here is the packaging that he came in, or like the plastic inside. As you can see, it is very yellow. So now that it's out of the box, you can really see how yellow it is. That old Toybiz packaging, all right? But yeah, there you go. So let's go ahead and look at his regular form. I'm gonna deassemble him. Freaking mess. I had to use, like, you guys see, I had to use this freaking pencil box just to balance the Mayfix stand at the top that was holding him. It's an absolute nightmare. Alright, but let's go ahead and take off all these extra flimsy parts. And yeah, they are all like just basically rubbery parts, just straight rubber. So there's, like I said, there's no real articulation in them, except like all you have is, you know, the connector joints at the end so that you can plug them into the rest of the body. But the actual pieces themselves are just soft, very pliable, you know, rubbery pieces. They smell like old rubber too. Something to note. They have that very old rubbery smell, so just be aware of that. But yeah, let's go ahead and deassemble him and then reassemble him. Take off the long torso. Let's get these legs back to normal. Putting him together was fun. It was just the standing up part that was an absolute pain in the butt. I mean, it took me like probably somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes just to get him finally standing up with those stands. All right, but now that that's over, let's go ahead and put him back into his normal form. All right. And I do got to give, you know, Toybiz a shout out for even attempting to, you know, give us such a complex figure. You know, not the best, definitely not the most well executed, but I really appreciate them for going out on a limb and, you know, trying to give Mr. Fantastic his, you know, abilities in figure form. So at the time, you know, this was definitely a very innovative thing to do with a figure, and they put a lot of effort into this figure, man. And it just goes to show you again just how dope Toybiz was, how dedicated they were to the craft of making toys. You got to keep in mind this figure, you know, when it came out, probably wasn't more than like $20, probably like 15 or 10 back then. Matter of fact, you can see on the packaging right here, this is like the old school packaging. I think this is the original price tag. I don't think they ever took it off the seller. $10.99. Look at that. $10.99. Can you imagine getting a figure like this nowadays for $10.99? $11? Are you kidding me? Hasbro's over here selling, you know, basic Marvel Legends for like $25. Like $25.99 almost. Like, you know, you're paying like close to $30 for a normal Marvel Legends these days with not even half of the attributes of this one. So that should tell you everything you need to know about Hasbro. They are some money hungry hoes. You know what I'm saying? I just gotta keep it real with y'all. But nevertheless, man, I'm very happy to have gotten this figure. And big shout outs to Space Cadets Collection on eBay for hooking me up with this figure. They did give me the okay to give the shout out, so thank you very much to them. They even told me to send the tag of the video when it's over so that maybe they could share it. So I'm looking forward to do that once the review is done. All right, just assembling him back here, snapping on all of his parts. Let's get those legs back on. All right, there we go. Snap that back in. Boots are on, good. We just need the forearms. All right. Good, good, good. And one more forearm. All right, there we go. And last but not least, his head. Get away from this long neck action. Get him back to his normal. All right, and there he is, fully assembled in normal form. So I'm gonna get him standing here and I'll put him on the rotating display base. Move all these bendy parts to the side for now. Don't need those anymore. All right, move all this out of the way. All right, let's put the display base here. And all this. And here we are. So I just want to make sure he doesn't fall when I start the rotation. So I'm trying to make sure his footing is solid. Alright. Come on, my guy. Come on, bruh. Okay, I think I might, he's at an awkward angle, but hopefully he doesn't fall. On this display base, let's see, rotate his leg a little bit here. Okay. Like that. Come on, Reed. Work with me, sir. Okay. Okay, there we go. Ah! Okay, hold on. Hold on, brother. If I just rotate this right here. Okay. Okay. Let's see if he can hold this position. Okay. Oh, there he goes. Man, I can never get these figures to balance anymore. Come on, man. Stay up for me. Stay up for your brother, man. Okay, there you go. All right. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. Second to work this out. Work this out. Older figures, so you gotta be patient. A little more gentle with these. Okay, let's try this. Please stay, please stay. Okay. All right, I think we got it. So, all right, there he is. There is your 360 look at the Mr. Fantastic based off of the first movie, the first live action, all right? Mr. Ewan Griffith. Hopefully I didn't butcher his name. I think in the first look part, I think I said Ewan Gruff. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Ewan Griffith, something like that. So there he is, and yeah, man, Toybiz did a pretty phenomenal job as usual. Paintwork, everything on him looks very solid. Especially for the time. I'll bring him in close so we can see the details a little bit better in a minute here. But just as you can see him rotating right now, all right, you got your 360 look. All right, so let's go ahead and stop him here. All right, thank you, sir, for cooperating. Move this out the way. So bringing him in for a closer look. You can see he's got very, very nice paint apps. You can see the shading on his costume is very nice. I will say his suit is definitely probably in a lighter blue than what was seen in the movie. The suits in the movie were a very dark blue, closer to what we saw on the package, if I can talk. Although oddly enough, I'm looking at the packaging, their suits almost look purple on the box, which is kind of strange. They have like a very purplish hue to them. But yeah, it was like a very dark blue that they had in the movie, much darker than this for sure. But I do like this blue, I think it's it's kind of like a nice midway between the classic baby blues that you saw in the comics with a lot of their, suits. I think a lot of times they were kind of drawn with like lighter colors before they got darker. So, this new live action movie definitely went with the lighter look for the coloring of the suits. So that was interesting. I prefer the darker blue personally, but that's a personal preference. So, you might be different and that's okay. But yeah, here he is. You can see like the sculpting is very nice. You can see the wrinkles in his suit, like in the chest area, down the lower torso, down in the thighs. Just very, very nice, man. It really gives a nice organic look and feel to the suit. You can see some of that going like by his shoulders as well. And yeah, obviously he is a little bit gappy. Like, you can see like the gap and the peg inside of there because, that's where he separates. That's where pretty much anywhere you see gaps is where his, bendy parts are going to attach to him. So, he might not always look the most flush, but, it's not too bad. You can definitely get away with it and it doesn't look too terrible. And I think that's a pretty decent likeness actually for the actor, Mr. Ewan. I think that actually looks quite a bit like him, maybe not perfect, but you got to keep in mind, this is before we had, Toybiz didn't have the face scanning technology that Hasbro does these days. So I think this is actually a very solid likeness for the time. So this is probably like an originally sculpted and painted. I believe these are hand painted figures. I think Toybiz hand painted most, if not all, of their figures. So, and what leads me to believe that is things like this, like the fuzziness in the fore. You can kind of see like some of the white paint, surrounding the fore logo on his chest. It seems like a little bit fuzzy. It really looks like it was hand painted and not like, just like sprayed on by a machine or something like that. So I actually like that. It kind of gives this figure some character. I always love how Toybiz brings a lot of character and just makes their figures feel alive. And yeah, but I do really like the likeness. Like that is a pretty dang solid head sculpt, man. I mean, that really looks like him. So yeah, that's what he looks like, front to back, side to side. So getting into articulation, as far as the head sculpt, he is like you can see it's like a ball peg. It doesn't really seem to move at all. Doesn't really have like any range in that neck. I mean, just like the tiniest amount. So, that is his head popped off. You can see obviously the paint has kind of like chipped and worn off here, which again, I think this is like hand painted stuff. So you can see the paint is kind of worn away there, but not a big deal. I think that's to be expected, especially since, when you attach the longer neck, a lot of that paint is going to be rubbing and probably chipping off. So just be careful with that if you plan to change the neck out often. But he can't really look up because the head just pretty much pops like right off the ball when you try to look up. Let's see, side to side though, he can rotate. Got some good side to side rotation there. Probably go like all the way around if you really wanted to. And obviously no real like nuance posing. I mean, kinda. You can kind of get him, a little head tilt in there, a little bit of attitude. It's going to be a little awkward and you might be, showing stuff like that on the side when you do it, but, not too bad. Better than nothing. All right, we've got ball hinge shoulders. So he's able to raise his arms up out to the side about that much. So nice perfect T-pose, basically, 90 degrees. Down by his sides, you get rotation, full windmill. He's got a bicep swivel, so a good cut for the bicep, and that is also, you know, where you would separate it to add the longer parts of the arm, which I might do from time to time. You've got double jointed elbows, like that. Just get some pretty good range, you know, pretty decent, better than 90-degree bend. And then extend back. He's almost like double jointed. He can actually go like even like a little farther past like the elbow. So double jointed, he's a contortionist, you know, he's Mr. Fantastic. All right, and then you have the glove swivel. You do have a swivel rotation in the glove, and you have a hinge at the hands, horizontal hinge. So it bends in and out towards and away from the body. And yeah, and then you have individual finger articulation. Wow, I didn't know it was individual. I honestly thought this was like I thought all the fingers were kind of sculpted together, but no, it is actually individually articulated, each finger. So that is really cool. Haven't seen that since the McFarlane Spider-Man, so that's dope. Very pleasant surprise. He does also have butterfly joints like the McFarlane Spider-Man, so you can actually bring the arms pretty far forward. Oh, okay, there it goes, snapping off. And now you can see the joint exposed. Let me pop that back in. Back in there. Get back in there, arm. Oh wow, now he's just coming apart on both sides. All right, bear with me, y'all. I'm gonna pop this back in. Sure came out easy. All right, there we go. Now I got it back in. Let's get that other arm back in because it fell out too. All right, there we go. So yeah, it's a little bit tricky playing with this guy just because, you know, those points that he attaches at, you know, for the bendy parts, they are like pretty loose and kind of weak. So if you're trying to like bend the arm for articulation at those points, they're kind of just gonna pop out. So you wanna really, you know, use the bending and anything like that. You wanna like grab it from the shoulder joint and move it from there. But yeah, so you have those individually articulated fingers, all except the thumb. All right, for the leg arts, or let's stay with the torso. We still have we got an ab crunch, so we can bend forward that far, which isn't that much, but you know it's okay. Early ab crunch joint. All right, and then bending backwards. There goes his head. I'll put that on in a second. He can go back about that far, which is, again, all right. Not the best range, but it is what it is. We've got some rotation at the waist. Nice waist swivel there. Can go 360. He's able to kick forward about that much. So pretty much a nice 90-degree kick going forward. It does go out to the side a little bit at an angle, but not too bad. And then going backwards, pretty much no, okay. I take that back. It does go backwards, also kind of goes at an angle. It actually like points kind of like inward as you push it back. All right, so like the opposite of when you're kicking forward, but can actually go back decently far. So yeah, that's all right. He has a thigh swivel. It is much more gappy on the left leg compared to the right for some reason. But yeah, that is like where you would separate it for the attachments. So he has a thigh swivel. He's got double jointed knees. Trying to keep his leg together here. Double jointed knees that allow a bend about that far back. So a little, about a 90 or a little better than 90. And then we have a boot swivel down here. So we have rotation in the boot. We have a hinge at the foot, which allows him to hinge almost perfectly on his tippy toes. And then kicking the foot up, he can go forward that much. All right, like that. And he does have a toe hinge as well, so he can hinge his foot up that much, hinge down, back flat, and that's about it. No, you know, rotation or ankle rock or anything like that. But yeah, and then out to the side. Now you would think a figure like this would be able to do perfect splits, right? Well, not quite with this guy. Unfortunately, his leg keeps popping off, so there goes his arm. Yeah, this guy, man, he just falls apart very easily at those, attachment parts. But we'll just do it with this leg over here. Oh wow, look at that. This one comes off. All right, yeah. So he goes out about that far, and definitely not a perfect splits. Just a little bit shy of a perfect splits, but you can get him kicking out to the side about that much. And I think that's just, the sculpt, the shape of the sculpt running into the torso there is the reason for that. So he probably has like a little bit less range, honestly, than like, say, the Cyclops that we just reviewed. Sentinel Wave Cyclops. But that's all right. All right, so putting them back together. And as far as moving backwards, his arms with the butterfly joint, you can push them about that far back. They definitely go better forward than back, at least on my copy, but he does have a little bit of range reaching backwards as well. It does seem like this arm goes back easier than the other one for some reason, but yeah. So yeah, there you have that. And that's pretty much all of his articulation points. So yeah. See that? You guys see how easily the arm popped off right now? So you definitely want to grab his arm, up here at like the shoulders and stuff, and then rotate them down, because if you grab them at the separation, they're really just going to come straight off. You can see some of the paint kind of, rubbed off there at the joint. It's kind of like a rubbery type of like paint chipping going on right there at the joint. Maybe a little too much paint application, but yeah, not too bad. So yeah, that is our Mr. Fantastic. You saw him with all of his fully assembled parts, okay? And I'll probably never put him like that again, at least not for a long time, unless I want to take like a photo or something. But I think for the most part, I'm just gonna have this guy displayed like this, maybe with a few of the arm attachments, and that's about it. So yeah, there you go. That is Ewan Griffith's Mr. Fantastic by Toybiz. All right, based on the 2005 film. So let's go ahead and do some size comparisons, because we don't have a lot of time here. We're already going kind of long for this review, so let's get to it. All right, so first up, we got some Toybiz figures. We have our Spider-Man, our Toybiz 2002 Tobey Maguire Spider-Man next to him. And I always thought these guys were like in the same universe, like before this is like pre-MCU right here. So I really would have loved to see, these two on screen, Tobey Spider-Man and like this version of Mr. Fantastic. I think they would have looked really cool on screen. And like I love the theme for these Fantastic Four movies by John Ottman. I really love that theme. Very catchy, and I think it just fits them. So, it would have really been dope to see those two on screen. Maybe one day we will, now that the multiverse is a thing. But anyways, here is the knocked him over. Here is the Walmart exclusive Johnny Storm from the Ares Build-A-Figure wave, which we just reviewed last week. All right, get him standing again. Let's back this up. All right, so now you can see them both. And yeah, you can see Johnny scales actually pretty well with Mr. Fantastic. I think Reed would probably be a little bit taller than Johnny, but I think that works. I think you can definitely make that work. So there's the two of them. We'll move them out the way. Let's bring in some Lightning collection. We've got a Lunar Wolf Ranger here. And we have a In Space Pink Ranger on the side. All right, and you can see that. So you see they're standing pretty nicely in height. So yeah, I think you can make that work. Cool. Let's move them out the way. For an SH Figure Arts, we've got the Masked Rider Blade right here. For another Marvel Legends, we've got the Shocker from the Retro card. All right, and I think they stand pretty nicely. Shocker is a little bit taller for sure. I think, yeah, Marvel Legends are kind of upscaled compared to these older Toybiz figures, so that makes sense. For Black Series, we've got Count Dooku, and then we have Darth Vader from Mafex, we have the Mafex Revenge of the Sith Vader right here. Gotta be careful here. Okay, there you go. And I think they stand all right. So there is your Black Series comparisons. All right, move them out the way. Here he is with some more Toybiz. We got the Sentinel Build-A-Figure Series Cyclops. And then for McFarlane Toys, we've got the DC Rebirth Deathstroke, my bad. Shout outs to Izzy, my boy, for hooking me up with that one. All right, let's finish it off. For some Mattel, we have the Man of Steel Superman and the DC Universe All-Stars Classic New 52 style Batman on this side. All right. So that's pretty much going to do it, guys. I would have shown more figures if I had more time, but running out. So I will see y'all in the next review.